Here's a large part of a problem with the coronavirus that is not being either addressed or even talked about that I've ever seen um, over the past months. Last week, I wanted to go and visit my mother, who is in a retirement nursing home. And I called in advance to make sure that was convenient, and they said that at least four of the workers who worked there at the nursing home had tested positive for COVID, and therefore no one would be able to visit for the next 2 weeks, which was, as I said then, and I say now, it's very, very tragic. But here's here's the point: the people, there's many awful parts to that, but one of them is the workers, the four workers who were tested. These are nursing home aides, and they are not paid very much, but they need the money that they do make. And now, how long will they have to stay home before they're able to come back to work? I don't know how that works, but I doubt that the nursing home will pay them for their time off. But the electric company will continue to want their money, and the landlord or the mortgage will continue to want their money. The car will continue to need car insurance and gasoline. This is a real problem. If a senator tests positive for COVID, he gets the best of medical care. He doesn't lose a penny in wages, in salary, I should say. His medical is generous. His socialist is what it is. It's paid for by the taxpayers, and um, and he gets to take all the time off that he needs to recover. One of the problems with the coverage of COVID is that it's all being covered by people and all being legislated and all being administered by people on salary. And I think they just don't get that if a person on wages who is being paid hourly runs off and does, what they're asking everyone to do, get tested on a regular basis, and the test comes back positive, the sacrifice they're making is extreme. Uh, for a person to lose 2 weeks of wages for most wage earners in this country, that is a real problem. And there's no allowance made for that. The test is free. Whoop-de-doo. As I say, the rent is not free, the car insurance is not free, and the food is not free. So very frankly, if I am in a position where I don't have days to take off for sick time and various things like that, and I'm in a position where I don't have any savings, like I would suspect most Americans are, do I want to run out and get tested? No. What if it's positive? How does what does my family do then? What do I do then if it's positive? How long am I going to be out of work with no way to support myself? This is an issue that I think is just being missed. And I think it may be because the people who are in charge and the politicians and representatives and senators and frankly the company owners and the press, everyone who has anything to do with the response to COVID is on a salary, and they just don't get it. They just don't get it that if a person is tested, they are making an extreme sacrifice. And so how are you going to deal with that? I'm, if I'm in that situation, I'm not going to get tested. You're asking a little bit too much from me to sacrifice my family's ability to cope. So that is an issue that I think is not being addressed. I don't know what the answer is. Nobody's going to say, hey, if you get tested, then the time you're off from work is going to be paid as if it were unemployment from the federal government. No one's talking about that. I'm just saying that off the top of my head. No one has a plan to deal with that problem. At least no one's talking about it that I've ever heard. And it is a big problem.